Okay, everybody, I'm back. I think this is part 7. And basically what I did was I mounted the switch. Got my switch there. 2 positions, see if you can see that there. I cut that one piece out like I was talking about. One of the posts for the switch cover that goes over there, the bottom one, so the switch can go in. On the bottom I have the 3 switches wires. I've already cut to size and pre-tinned, and basically what I'm looking for is just something like this where there's not going to be an excessive amount of wire. The thin stuff coming off the switches, I always leave those as long as possible because I never know when I'm going to be using the soundboard and something else, and I want to keep as much as that possible because it's pretty nice that it's already connected to the connector. So that you can kind of fold over, but the 24 gauge or 22 gauge that I'm using, I always like to be as short as possible. And same thing with the blue. The blue is going to go to the blue off the soundboard, the red is going to go to the red off the soundboard, and then the purple is going to go to the purple that's on the common of the dip switch. I've also added a fair amount of glue in there because the terminals on the dip switch are really delicate, and you can bend them right off. And then I have on my dip switch my 3 wires here, one for each of the colors of the LED. I also have my common, it's been cut and ready to go, and then my clash sensor. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and solder these up, and then I'll come back. Also, don't forget to put your heat shrink on the wires before you make your solder connection. It's really bummer when you have to go back unsolder wire to put your heat shrink back over again. So make that a common rule. Make sure you always have your heat shrink on before you solder your wires. So we're almost there. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and make those connections. So we're connecting the terminal strip off of the soundboard, the red and the blue, to the switch red and the blue, and then we're coming back to power up the LED. Also, just on a side note, I did some voltage and MA readings on the switches, and basically what I got was 300 milliamps off of the red and the blue, and it was actually 310 milliamps off of the red and 300 off of the blue, and then 280 milliamps off of the green, 310 milliamps off of the red, and 300 milliamps off of the blue, and the voltage on all 3 of them were 4 volts. So that gives you somewhat of an idea of what we're driving on these things. So I'm going to go ahead and hook that up, and then I'll come back and we'll start working on the the LED leads. Also, just as a note, I made my cuts on my LED housing. And right now it's just, you can see it's right to the last terminal post, that's it. So I kept the terminal post in there and everything. One of the things that I want to work on for the future is leaving the post in there and slotting the blades. I'd like to find a spring that I can slide over here and butt up against this last pin here that goes actually through the holder and the LED holder as well. Slot the blades, and then also angle with a slot, so you can slide the blade down over the pins, twist, and then the spring tension would lock it back up and lock it in place. Something that maybe I can use with or without a retention screw. I'm going to play with, I got an extra one now that I've robbed the soundboard off of one, so that's something that I'm going to play with in the future, and hopefully I can come up with something. I think that'd be really nice that we can twist off and remove a blade. My only worried is that by slotting it like that, it's going to make it fragile and want to break there from dueling. So before I give that as a viable solution, I'm going to build one myself and then just beat the heck out of it and see what kind of abuse it'll take. So I'm going to sign out now, and then we'll come back and we'll do some of the last connections.